Hey everyone, it's Jeremy J with a little poofy thing on my head. I'm doing tonight's video about what is an alpha male, and I might even rename this, at least in my own mind, what I aspire to be as I seek to become the strongest and greatest and best version of myself. And to me, an alpha male is what I'm going to talk about right now. I've heard this term thrown around. An alpha male, it's this rare guy who does all these things, and he's like James Bond, and he's mysterious and successful, and he has all this money and charisma. People flock to him. He gets all the most gorgeous women and all these things. And I think that's a Hollywood souped up description of an alpha male. To me, an alpha male is someone who has their shit together in so many different ways in life. And it's those things that I want to talk about now. This is what I think. This is what Jeremy thinks an alpha male is, or what I aspire to be. So if you're a man, listen up. And if you're a woman, listen up as well, because a man who's like this, I think, is a rare breed. I'm not even all these things. I'm aspiring and working to become these things. And so here's 10 things that I think make an alpha male. Number 1, aware of self and surroundings. So an alpha male is not delusional about reality. He is able to interpret the words and actions of other people, not always correctly, but in a way that closely resembles what's actually going on. And he's aware of himself. He's aware of all his feelings. He's aware of all his past experiences that make him who he is today. And I'm going to add a bonus here, because I write in a journal. I think an alpha male should keep a journal. If you keep a journal, I think it increases the chance of you being an alpha male. And the reason is that journal helps you become more self-aware, and it helps you learn from your past experiences. And the advantage of being self-aware is so that you can take everything that's happened to you in your past, every good experience, every bad experience, and apply it to the future. It's being able to learn and absorb experiences and knowledge as humans that helps us move forward and make better choices and choices that will benefit people more. The things I say and do with people today are much different than they were 20 years ago, especially. But they're different even more than 6 to 9 months ago, because I've learned things. And the harder you work on yourself in learning and gathering experiences, the quicker you're going to adapt and become a better interactor with people and understand yourself better. And that's one awesome trait I think an alpha male has, is they continually are self-aware of themselves and their surroundings, and they take in their experiences and learnings and apply it for better things moving forward. So that's number 1. Number 2, an alpha male is constantly improving. This kind of ties into number 1 a little bit, but I think there's 4 primary areas that you can improve in for yourself: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. 4 things. And the physical one is pretty straightforward. It's exercise, healthy eating, stretching, yoga, weights, all these things. And the reason, or whatever exercise floats your boat. And the reason this is good, because it strengthens your physical body, your form, your vessel, whatever you want to call it. And by having that in tip-top shape, that allows you to have more energy. It affects the way you interact with the world. If you've got energy and vitality and vibrancy, most certainly you're going to be able to speak and interact at a higher level. An alpha male is always learning, always trying new things mentally. And so for me, I am constantly trying to learn new things and expand myself. I've built an Android app. I read a lot of personal development books, autobiographies. I've been programming computers for, a really long time now, ever since I was a child, 20-some plus years ago. I love the game of basketball. I like hiking and swimming and all sorts of things, watching movies and learning from their stories. I wrote a book, and I'm not saying all this because I think, oh, I'm so wonderful, but I'm saying I'm applying this number 2 here of an alpha male and constantly trying to mentally keep myself sharp. I love doing math problems. I love challenging myself to do math in my head really quick. I made a computer game with my twin brother called Math Asteroids, for instance. I made a computer game called Tower of Eglathia. It's a fantasy magic roguelike computer game, and it's on Steam. And there's all these things that I'm trying to do. I invest money and try to learn about stocks and other ways to invest. And I'm constantly challenging myself mentally to learn about the world around me. Emotionally. So how is an alpha male improving in the emotional? Well, I think that when we're first born into the world, we're very weak emotionally. We're babies that just cry and cry because we're hungry. And I remember myself as a child. I don't remember myself as a baby, but as a child, I remember I had a lot of issues with whining and complaining and all of these kinds of things. And even as I've gotten older, even in the last couple years, I've seen where I'm weak emotionally, where I have work to do, and it kind of ties in with the mental improvement. If you're weak emotionally and you have a hard time, to me, being weak emotionally means you are easily affected. You easily get angry or sad or weak or needy or insecure. If those things are happening to you easily, then that's an area to shore up in your life. And I think there's a couple ways to do that. The very first is to be, number 1, self-aware of your problem and your challenge. And then number 2 is to put yourself out there in situations that test you. Just, if you're afraid of rejection because you're going to be depressed or sad that someone said no, the best way to improve that emotional state is to go out and talk to people and get rejected a lot. This is something that has helped me immensely on my own in the last months. I've been rejected enough to the point where I'm like, oh, it's not everyone finds me interesting or is into what I'm doing or whatever it may be. And at first it was hard when I was out on my own, and now it's actually a very natural thing. I feel like it's a very natural thing. If someone rejects me, it's simply a person that's not aligned with what I'm doing in my life, and that should be a natural occurrence. That person should, of course, not speak to me and be in my life because there's no alignment. And so now rejection isn't rejection to me, it's just a different alignment of goals and values and priorities in life. And now that I see it that way, I don't ever feel like someone has rejected me. They just see me different than they are and don't feel aligned with me, and it's quite okay. Spiritually. So what is spirituality to me? Well, to me it's not going to church or being part of a religion, but spirituality to me is like being a sculptor of yourself. It's doing things to sculpt yourself. All the 10 things here to me are spirituality because it's a process on yourself, like a sculptor who's chiseling away at rock to make a very nice shape. And sculpting myself is a very spiritual experience. I do meditation as well, where I reflect on everything that's going on in my life, and I take time to peacefully just be and feel my breath and my body. And I believe there's some kind of force in the universe. I don't know what that force is. Part of my spiritual journey is the quest to better understand that. So those are the 4 ways of constantly improving of an alpha male: physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We're on number 3 now. An alpha male inserts himself into the world. An alpha male does not sit on the sidelines. There's so many ways you can insert yourself into the world, and the definition of this to me isn't even that you are a super successful person with millions of fans and followers. I mean, at the time of this video, I have 136 subscribers. 2 of those are my daughter's YouTube channels, and that's where I'm at right now. But I love taking the time to do videos anyway and insert myself and continue to strive to provide more value to people in the world. And there's a lot of ways to do that at your place of employment, with your family. It's sharing your voice. It's being present with those around you. It's taking all that you know and saying, I know these things. I'm going to apply that, and maybe I'll try a YouTube channel, maybe a website. Maybe you'll start your own store selling cookies or whatever it is that you like. The point is, an alpha male is inserting himself into the world. He's making an impact in whatever way he can. I don't believe that someone's more of an alpha male because they have 1 million subscribers on a YouTube channel versus 136. I believe that that person's more valuable to the marketplace of YouTube, but I believe 2 people equally putting in effort at different levels of success are alpha males in that way. So insert yourself into the world, share your ideas, try things. Number 4, an alpha male owns his flaws and weaknesses. I have a lot of weaknesses. I have a lot of flaws. I'm selfish. I don't listen very well. I can be very lazy and procrastinate. I can be a little bit ridiculous and strange sometimes. Maybe that's not a flaw and a weakness. I actually like being ridiculous and strange, so scratch that one out. But I still have quite a number of flaws. I own these flaws. I told my team at work the other day, hey, I don't listen very well, and I'm not a very good planner and scheduler, so you're going to need to constantly prod me for the important stuff so that it gets done. And I will set reminders in my calendar when I need to remember something. And I own it. I don't try and hide and say I don't have these flaws. It's like, no, they're there. They're not going away, and I do things to try and remedy them the best I can, like having automatic reminders in my phone and delegating things like planning and other things to people who do it better than I do. And I speak my flaws and my weaknesses to those around me. I don't hide them. And I believe that that's what an alpha male does. I'm not perfect at this, but this is something I strive to do. And you might be worried if you speak your flaws and weaknesses, does that mean that people are going to see you as less of a person? And I think it has the opposite effect. Paradoxically, I think it makes people respect you more. So own your flaws and weaknesses. Number 5, accept reality. An alpha male accepts reality as it is, but works toward a better reality. So there's a saying of mine that I love, and I think it goes like this. Inner peace comes from an acceptance of reality regardless of how you would like it to be. What does that mean? That means whatever's going on right now, you can sit back and say, cool. Maybe you're broke. Maybe you have no money. Maybe there's some drama in your family. You can actually, in that situation, just say, cool, that's how things are right now. That's how it is. Okay. I'm cool with that. Now that I'm cool with that, let's take what I'd like to see better and work toward it. And when you do that, when you ask questions, it's very easy. You just say, how can I make this situation better than it is? You ask yourself that question. How can I make this situation better than it is? Maybe it's to stop arguing with that person and to say, hey, I don't want to argue anymore. I want to work this out. Maybe it's to get rid of some things at your place of employment that are causing you to have bad habits Whatever it is, you just say, how can I make this situation better? And you can even write down the things that come to your mind. The brain's a pretty powerful thing. If you say, how can I make this situation better, it will come up with answers. And those answers are specific to your life. Oftentimes, inspiration helps with following through on those things to make reality better. And so go find inspiration from your favorite YouTuber or friend or whoever it may be. Number 6, an alpha male is courageous. He goes for what he wants, knowing he won't get it much of the time. And perhaps me saying he won't get it much of the time is simply the story I tell myself about going for things and them not working out. But I do believe an alpha male goes for what he wants. A good example of this is Donald Trump, who's running for presidency. It's the year 2015 now. He's running for 2016. He speaks his mind and directly goes for what he wants, whether you like him or hate him. He's just like raw and rugged and real, and he speaks without any hesitation or wondering or worrying what someone might think of him. And that's, yeah, there may be cases where doing that can cause some harm, but I admire that much more than I would be worried about someone doing that, because it shows he's authentically speaking from his heart and going for what he wants. Another way to be an alpha male to go in going for what you want, and I would tell anybody I'm coaching who's single, especially the young guys, if you're young and single, one awesome way to have courage that not a lot of people can muster up the courage to do is to approach people in person, just start talking to them, or even just say hi and smiling. And it goes along with number 3, inserting yourself into the world. Learn to charismatically approach people and say hi and be funny and playful and spark up conversations. There's some excellent people who do this on YouTube who provide a lot of happiness and amusement and energy, and it affects everyone around them. And along with being courageous if you're a young man, but even if you're older and you're single, approach members of the opposite sex or same sex, depending on who you're interested in, and just strike up conversations, especially with the ones you're really interested in, the ones that give you the little butterflies or nervous energy. Walk up to that person, approach them even while you're nervous and your heart's beating fast, and just say, hi, how's it going? I'm Jeremy, or whatever your name is, and just allow the situation to unfold. Maybe after you do that, they look at you funny and walk away. That's okay. That's the price of being an alpha male, is going for something and not knowing how it might work out. But the great thing is that you can, as you do that more, as you exercise your courage, you will learn a very, very fundamental skill of life, and that is being detached, to be at peace. As you go for it, you want more and more, and if it doesn't happen how you think it should, you will relish more in the effort and attempt you made to go for what you want than whatever the outcome might have been. And that's a really powerful place to get to when you're relishing in the attempt and the action that you took, and you know that that attempt and action is what's making you grow versus what happens on the other side. What happens on the other side is like whipped cream on a cake. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Doesn't matter. Number 7, an alpha male is a leader, and a leader to me is someone who cares about others and invests time in them and goes first and takes the risks in life. So if you're a manager or a team leader at your place of employment, or not, simply take the time to talk to people one-on-one, get to know their personal lives, get to know their desires and fears, and try to help in those areas. Listen and speak. Where I work, I do one-on-one time with my team, and I listen. What are they afraid of? What do they want? What do they want to work on? What's going to make them happy? All these things are super important as a leader to help you know your people. And it takes a great deal of effort and time to do this, but that's what a leader does. That's what a thing an alpha male does, is he isn't focusing on what he can get, he's focusing on what others can get. Paradoxically, as you focus on what others can get and start meeting that need, you start to get more of what you want without actually focusing on what you want. It's very interesting. A leader also goes first and takes risks. I see so many people on YouTube here, and I love it. So people who are super successful, and they're sharing their views and ideas and opinions. And yeah, maybe a lot of it's from existing material, and that's okay, but they're sharing their perspective, their meaning, their take on something. And some of these people I look up to because they have such huge followings, and I'm striving for that. I'm giving it my best shot. But it's a bit of a risk to go out and share your opinions and ideas, especially if it's something that's uncharted territory. I look at Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla and Solar City, and these are three companies that are doing something, especially SpaceX, going into space. I mean, that's taking a huge risk. That space is risky and expensive, and he's putting his business out there. And it almost didn't work out, which is another story in and of itself. So that's an alpha male, is a leader who puts other people first and goes first and takes risks. Number 8, an alpha male is honest. He speaks his mind and intentions without deceit. And this is something I've had to work on. There's an article another life coach wrote. His name is Jordan Gray. He talks about 3 kinds of people: the nice guy, the jerk, and the what did he call it? The real man, or something like that. And the nice guy actually hides his true intentions. He kind of walks on eggshells, or like he's in a minefield, because he doesn't want to offend someone. He doesn't want someone to reject him because of his true intentions. And when in reality, he's doing himself a disservice and the person he's interacting with a disservice by not being truly authentic with who he is, because eventually that stuff will come out, and if that was not honest up front, then there's always going to be this wondering, is this person just crying wolf? Are they true with their intentions? Where if you're true and honest up front, there is no wondering about what you're thinking. And you can tell when someone is being upfront and honest. I think we as humans have a pretty good sense for this kind of thing. And especially women, they're pretty good at detecting this. Not all the time, but they're pretty good at detecting honesty and true intent. And it takes guts and courage to do this, to speak your true intent when you may have a reservation or a fear of doing it. But the more you do it, it's like anything else, it becomes easier. Speak your mind honestly, and be honest with your dealings with other people, and it creates a sense of certainty and reliance that what you see is what you get. Number 9, an alpha male is kind, especially to those less fortunate, and to children or animals, things that may not be able to do much for him. I think it takes someone with character to go to those less fortunate, for instance, or to be kind to animals or children, because it's not like that child is going to be able to give that man something, a smile and their time, certainly, but I think it says a lot about someone when they take their time and effort to those that can't really do a lot for him. This is a weak area of mine. This is a weak area of mine, is being kind, especially to those less fortunate. And what I mean is, I don't spend enough time in service of others, doing charity work or spending time with those less fortunate. But I think those who do that are showing an awareness, a desire to help in a way that says something about the character of someone. They don't have to do it. You don't have to go to someone homeless and take them in, or whatever might be done, or take your money that you've earned working at your business that you risked to go feed. I know Tony Robbins, famous self-development guru, takes a lot of his money and feeds people over Thanksgiving, and he doesn't have to do that. He could take that money and do whatever he wants. his choice, but he decides to take time to help those less fortunate. And I think an alpha male does that because they're aware that those less fortunate are conscious human beings as well and have thoughts and feelings just like anyone else. Last but not least, number 10. Whew, we're 25 minutes in here. I hope you've been paying attention. An alpha male is impeccable with his word and his actions. If he says something, he will do it. And if he doesn't do it, he is direct and upfront about why it didn't happen. If he speaks something, especially to himself, if you read the book, The 4 Agreements, one of those agreements is being impeccable with your word. Go read the book, The 4 Agreements. Being impeccable with your word, which means binding, which means what you say is what you're going to do. Integrity, especially with the things you say to yourself. And I struggle with this. I really struggle with this. If I tell myself, all right, I'm going to write, or I'm going to make some progress on this project, sometimes I won't do it. And it's that being impeccable with my word that's one of my struggles. But I did it tonight with this video, for instance. I said I was going to make a video, and here I am. An alpha male is impeccable. You can count on him. You can rely on him when he says something to do it. And if something has to change, he explains why. He's very clear about why there's a change in direction, that kind of thing. And so therefore you can trust him. There you go. Whew. I'm a little sweaty after this. I am working hard every day on these 10 things. I'm certain there's more things you could add to this list, but the people I see as alpha males that do these things, I am in awe of those people. They're at a level I aspire to get to. I'm just a 37-year-old guy trying to do the best I can at the time of this video. But I think if you do these 10 things and do them well, you're going to be someone of note in the world that people are going to look to as a leader and for guidance. And you succeed at all these 10 things, I think you'll have whatever you want in life and then some 10 times over. I've got a ways to go to meet these 10 things. Nevertheless, I see them and work toward them. There you go. What do you think an alpha male is? I've listed 10 things that I think an alpha male is. Let's hear what you have to say. What do you think an alpha male is? Or an alpha female if you're a woman. Or if you're a woman and you just want to say what you think an alpha male is. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.